I'm Duncan MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod.
My name is Ichabod Crane.
Name's MacGyver.
Colonel Jack O'Neill, SG-1.
I am Batman!
Hello, I'm the Doctor.
So there's this man, he has a time machine. Up and down history he goes, zip, 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 getting into scrapes.
For years, and maybe more than that, right, Mac? But how long has it been? Has it been 6, 7 years ago?
Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a DeLorean?
Hey, now wait a minute. Now wait just a minute.
Human beings were not meant to sit in little cubicles staring at computer screens all day.
I've got something for you.
Oh, merci, Sonor. Just one more thing, sir.
Oh boy.
Just like that. Bing, bang, boom.
At this point, I'd settle for the boom.
They'd love it here, don't you think?
This is what I'm saying.
And by the way, where is your podcast? Tell everybody that's here.
Welcome to the Never Gets Old podcast. The podcast of all we love in TV, movies, music, and comics. With your hosts, Mac Jackson and Nathan Shell. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Facebook, and YouTube. Donations at paypal.com, at macwjackson@comcast.net.
Listen to my caping songs, DJ saying that they're too long. His guitar may be silenced, but his soul goes on and on. Lord again, oh Lord again. His stories were like us, the beginning and an end, alone again. Now I listen in my room.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of the Never Gets Old podcast. I'm your host, Mac Jackson.
And I'm Nathan Shell.
And it is time. It is our right before Christmas episode.
Yep.
So we got lots to talk about. And I'm sure Christmas will be sprinkled in there. I don't know about you, Nate, but it's sleeting here.
We have rain with the tiniest bit amount of ice.
Yeah, we're supposed to get hit pretty hard, from what I understand.
When we took the dog out today, there was ice on the deck. And going down steps with a excitable puppy that are slightly icy is an adventure.
Yeah. I don't know if we even mentioned this. Might have been on the MacGyver podcast, but yeah, Nate has a new dog.
Yep. Yeah, we had gotten, unfortunately, over the course of the summer, Brooke, our lovely dog that we had some health issues, and we had to make the decision that no pet parent wants to make.
Mm-hmm.
But it was truly the quality of life question. And that weekend, almost immediately, Jess and I were missing having a little fuzzball running around the house. Mm-hmm. Even though Brooke never really ran around the house, you miss having that companionship and everything.
Well, that's what I did. I knew that from when we lost Ginger. We got Zoe a week later because I was like, oh, that's why I'm still so depressed. I need a dog.
Yeah, and Jess and I had made the decision we were going to wait. We weren't going to rush out and get another dog right away because we had Dragon Con coming. We had some other events that
we
would have been home, or we wouldn't have been home for a fairly long stretch of time. So after Dragon Con, I sat down with Jess and I said, okay, now I think we can start looking.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And we didn't want to get a dog that was in the twilight of their age, so we decided let's get a young dog. Well, then it turned into, let's get a puppy. That way we have them
right from the beginning. When we got Duffy, it was the same thing.
And it's like, okay. Well, we ended up naming our dog Laszlo, Laszlo. We think she's a chocolate lab mixed with like either a Australian Shepherd dog or a Husky, because she's got blue eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And she is an energy vampire because like she's running around. Mm-hmm. You just feel exhausted watching her.
That first year, Duffy is now a year old.
Mm-hmm.
And still has her moments of, or his moments of being goofy because it's a
Yeah.
dog, and you
Yeah.
get excited. But overall, the dog goes, okay, I see how this works, and knows how to
Yeah.
listen.
And
But
they're
it's that first. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but
yeah, off the walls and everything. But I had to laugh. She likes to human. She will stand up on her hind legs, and I'm sure you've probably seen the pictures. If not, I can shoot you one. But she is adorable. She knows she's cute. She tries to use her advantage. But yeah, so I mean, we got her in early October, and we're thinking she's around 5 months old.
okay.
Because she's a rescue. We got her through the Pink Dog Rescue, and they, they're good company. My brother had actually gotten both his dogs through them, and yeah, I mean she's from West Texas, from the information they could provide us, and she had a bunch of her vaccinations and everything. So we've got to get her spayed.
Sure.
And when we get her spayed, we'll get a little bit of the money back from when we adopted her.
I think that's a 6-month thing.
Yeah, they recommend waiting until she's 6 months. So we'll have to wait we'll wait until probably towards the end of February or end of January, just to give it a little bit extra time.
Well, wait until you get to the cone section. After that, Duffy was great about it. I mean, he wasn't thrilled, but he got used to it right away and just kind of went, okay, I guess this is my life now. So then, however many weeks later when we were able to take it off, it was like, what? It's Christmas. Like, because to a dog, all right, I guess that's my life. They don't know there's a limit.
They kind of resign themselves to things really quickly.
Yeah.
Like I have to laugh. Something I've noticed with Laszlo, anytime she goes out and does her business, either one or two, we give her a little treat. And to help encourage her going outside. Now, unfortunately, she gets excited sometimes. And she still
have the excitement pee, sure.
And it's just like, and you just, all right, and you just be like, you don't yell at the dog, you don't grab them, rub their nose in it or anything like that. No. And she's gotten to the point where she realizes, okay, mommy and daddy are upset, but they're not going to like grab me and throw me.
Right.
Like I might hold her back so she doesn't walk through it or whatever. Clean it up real quick, hit it with the cleaning stuff, and she's fine. But now she's, I think, started to catch on that at one point in the night, daddy's going to give me a treat when he takes me out, and I have to go into my cage.
Yep.
Almost every time now she goes into her cage.
Sure.
Because she's anticipating that,
the routine is safety.
Yeah.
Having a schedule going, okay, I can rely on this. Great. Love it.
And she's doing good. I mean, she still doesn't quite have the commands down, but that's something that we can work on over time.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm not expecting her to be a savant with,
No.
But we are looking hopefully sometime in the spring to get a fence so that we can let her off the leash and just run around the yard and wear herself out.
Good. We had toyed with it too, and then we looked at the price and went, oh no.
Yeah, it can be obscenely expensive.
Yeah.
I priced out, because you know me, I'm a handy individual. I priced out what it would cost to get, the lumber and all that stuff. And it's like, yeah, it would be nice, but then you have the upkeep, and
exactly.
You got to make sure that you get you got to make sure you jump through all the hoops with the county or the township. And it's just like, I looked online to see if there was a way that I could just push a fence into the yard. And I can. It's going to cost around $2,000 to get all the stuff that I want to do. Because what I would do is run it from the corner of the house down towards the alleyway, across the backyard to about where our stone overflow parking is, and then up to the corner of the deck. Then all I got to do is add a gate to the one part of the deck, and I can walk her out onto the deck, close the gate, and be like, go.
Yep.
Have fun.
Well, we got the new roof this summer.
Did you? Okay.
Okay, yeah. Sucks. I mean, it's something you have to do. Welcome to being a homeowner. But when we got this house, They said, you know, you have like 3 roofs, one on top of the other. So we're like, great. Well, they're like, well, eventually you're going to have to get it. This house hadn't been touched since the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we were sick of getting that when it would rain sideways, we would get a leak,
Mm-hmm.
and it would drip, drip, drip in the hall. And the guy came and he patched it, blah, 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 blah. But we're like, you know what? Let's do it. Got to get it done. We'll get it done and never have to worry about this again. Instead of it being, you know, every couple of months, her mentioning, you know, we got to get a roof.
Mm-hmm.
I know, but I keep pushing off. I thought, okay, this is the year. Why not? I'm home, or I was home, working from home for the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Go ahead, do it. It took them 2 days. Well, okay, so now we're paying it back. We got the loan, you know, we're doing that. We have other plans. I'd like to put a cement patio in the back to maybe do your kind of where you have the roof thing. That's a dream, but in the meantime, the guy, they were quick and they built it they did the roof in 2 days.
Okay.
It was a family. But what they didn't say, whoever the boss was, never bothered to warn anybody. Make sure you tarp your attic. Make sure you cover the things in your attic, because if you don't, you get that much roof crap, old roof, nails, wood, dirt on and in everything.
Yep.
So they didn't say that. So after they left, we went up there and like, oh, you son of a bee. Luckily, I keep a lot of my stuff in boxes, like my comics.
So all you had to do is swipe the stuff off it into a trash bag. But the stuff that got through,
it was a lot. It took Cindy had to go up and do it because I'll have breathing issues.
Yeah. Oh no, I get that.
But it took her weeks to get it done.
Yeah, depending on how. I mean, you said there were like it was one roof built on top of another on top.
3 of them. Yeah.
That shows a level of laziness on the people who had the work done before.
Exactly.
Like, on the roofs that my dad and I have done, well, my dad, my brother, and I, we would take it down to the plywood, and okay, this plywood looks good. This one looks like it's got a soft spot. We're gonna have to pop that one out.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just a matter of whoever the contractor is doing the work, knowing how to prevent themselves from having to do more work later.
Right.
You know.
So
I'm sorry that you guys had to go through that, but the good thing is,
don't have to ever worry about it again.
You saved whoever gets the house after you guys from having to deal with it later. You know,
exactly.
And hopefully that'll be long.
Well, now this will be the first
metal roof.
Shingle.
Okay.
Considered metal, but I think it's more expensive.
It can be, but it's also going to be more durable and more permanent.
Yeah, I know. It's a matter of money. We're already spending
a lot
of money. Oh, and by the way, going to the bank to get the freaking loan
is a chore.
They made us jump through so many hoops. We want to see your recent pay statement. Or,
yep.
You know, okay, here you go. No problem. Okay. Well, they drag their feet. We'd like to see it again. We just gave it to you. No, we need it within the last 10 days. All right, here you go. And then we're waiting because now we got to go sign stuff. Well, they drag their feet. We had to do this like 3 or 4 times to the point where my wife is going, stop it. Stop it. You're jerking us around. Get going. Like, we are trying to get a roof made. By the way, they're scheduled. They're coming, and we have to write a check to these guys.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's what out of curiosity, what bank?
Fidelity.
Okay.
But I mean, that's not the bank. It's the people that were working there.
It very well could just be that particular lending agent within the company.
Yes. As a matter of fact, when we went to go sign the paperwork, it was on a Saturday because they're like, well, can you come on Thursday at noon? No, that's not the way the world works. I work, bless you. Both of us work for a living, you know. And so we went on a Saturday. Well, the agent didn't bother to show up. Somebody else had to do it. I'm like, how? You a-hole.
That's asinine.
So now this is with the sleet and potential snowstorm coming over today and tomorrow. This will be our first snow with the new roof. Not that I'm worried or anything. Just
Oh no, you guys should be in good shape.
it's just
Yeah.
it was fine before. It'll be nifty now. Now we won't have tiles, the roof tiles coming off anymore when the wind.
Which is always good. Yeah, you'll probably notice within the first 6 months, which should include most of the winter, a change. You hopefully won't have any mysterious leaks and stuff like that.
We better not.
And the
God
good
help
thing
them.
is, if you do, you just go and get a hold of your contractor and say, "Look,
Yeah.
you fixed the roof, but did you?"
So let me think. You have your tree up and everything?
Yes. We usually had the tree in the corner by the built-in bookshelf. Well, that's where Laszlo's cage is now. And because I had rearranged the living room, it couldn't be put there. So I said something to Jess about, she's like, "Well, are we going to even have a place to put the tree?" Yeah, I got this. We'll be fine. We have the tree towards the fireplace, but not like here's the fireplace.
Sure.
But here's the fireplace.
Yeah.
The tree is here, but if you rotate, it's like 4 feet from the fireplace.
Sure.
So it's far enough away that we shouldn't have any issues with heat. But it's in front of the edge of the DVD shelf, which is slightly annoying, but that's why most stuff's on screen.
Well, remember last year I had the tree right behind me because I had my desk where the tree normally is.
Yeah.
Well, I got a new position. Remember the god awful job I had to do for the last couple of years?
Yeah.
I am not doing that anymore.
Good.
The good thing, that's the good thing. I got a raise. The only thing was it's dealing with checks. So I got to print checks every day.
Okay.
So you can't do that from home.
No, because of financial security issues.
They said, do you mind coming into the office? It might just be in the afternoons because some of the work you can do from home in the morning, but in the afternoon, you got to do the checks. I'm like, you know what? I don't care. If it gets me out of this god-awful position that I hate with all my might, that has caused me such anxiety that I've been losing sleep, I'll do whatever you need.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's good that they're willing to work with you on it so that you can still do like part of your day at home.
if I wanted to. However, I'm not there yet with my training, and also I don't want to do that. If the weather was bad, sure, do half a day, blah, 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 blah.
It gives you options. So.
But I don't mind going into the office because guess what? I'm one of 10 people that are left in a building that used to hold 300 and some. Remember the big purge of last year?
Yeah.
Well, last week was their everybody that is still working with us, you got to come into the office for the week.
Right.
That was only bumped up to what? 40 more people?
That's not bad.
No, I hardly saw anybody, even though it was our filled building. But you go in, you sit there. The day flies by because I'm either doing reports or printing checks, which you have to pay attention to.
Yep.
But guess what? I've been sleeping pretty good.
Good.
That's
fantastic.
And now I'm off until next Thursday, and then I go in for 2 days. And then Christmas hits, so we get Monday, and then I get to make up those 2 days I came in. So I'm off then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday again. It's not bad. I'm not complaining. Because I saved my vacations until then.
Yeah. Well, it's the best way to do it. So that's good, though. I'm glad.
But let's get talking. We have loads to catch up on, and Mikey is my little
viewing buddy.
No, he's my note taker of things we need to discuss.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Your protege.
First and foremost, we have to discuss, and we did it on the other podcast, but this is now news. The new Quantum Leap.
Yes.
We just got early Christmas present that it's getting a season 2.
Yes. Well, I like how I think when we recorded for the other one, or for our other podcast, it was right around the time they had announced that they were getting a full first season. Because I think at the time it was, we're only going to get 10 episodes. And then it's like, okay, that takes them to the winter break, basically.
Yep.
And then, oh, by like episode 3 or 4, they're like, yeah, we're gonna get the full run.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now here's the
Now,
thing.
we get the
It's
full second,
it
or full- we'll get-
because it's the #1 show ever on Peacock.
Yeah.
Ever.
Well,
And
and I think they realized the power of streaming services, because not everybody works 9 to 5 anymore. People have the ability to catch it the next day,
right.
week. I mean, like that one's one I specifically try to watch within that first week.
Right. Because I mean, they
It's
put it
all
on
awesome
Monday
like that.
nights at 10. Okay, well, we stay up for it because we're trying to keep this show alive.
Yeah.
So we're like, all right, nobody's going to bed until 11,
Yeah.
including the kids. And you know, it is it's our new excitement must-see TV. Like,
Yeah,
I miss it so much right now.
Yeah, like I was telling Jess, during the week after Christmas, she's off. So one of the things I want to do is sit down with her and watch the new series, because I showed her the stinger for the Poltergeist episode.
Okay.
And she's like, okay, interesting. She goes, I think I'll give this a shot. She goes, do I have to go back and watch the original show? So it's not required, because they reference it enough that it's serviceable, so you'll be able to enjoy the new series. If you wanted to, we could easily do that. We could easily go back and watch
Which I'd like to tell all the producers of Amazon and MGM, i.e. Stargate, if you connect it to, if you don't reboot, if you revive, guess what? Your audience will go back and watch the other stuff. Like, you already have a built-in audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, 1 second.
Sure.
I did. Okay. I'll have to give them a call then. Okay. So, all right.
So, anywho, like that's everybody's, because there's a rumor, by the way, not to go off on a tangent in a different direction, but Amazon, people are nervous right now. What should be a very obvious thing to do would be to continue the Stargate franchise.
Yeah.
There's the fear that, well, Amazon wants to do a movie that then leads into a series. Fine, but it better be connected to our Stargate. If there's rumors that they may quote unquote reboot, which I have said numerous times and will continue to say, don't bother.
It doesn't need to be done.
Don't waste the money, because your audience will not be there.
Yeah, because even Dean Devlin and I can't think the other guy, the two that were behind the first Stargate movie that launched this whole fandom, they had even come out and said the fans have spoken. They don't want a reboot. They want a continuation.
Right.
And we've got to respect that.
But then Amazon did not take Brad Wright's pitch.
Yeah.
Which is so stupid.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
Yeah, which is heartbreaking, because we know it would have been damn near ideal.
Right. So I'm hoping with us trying to very bluntly telling them, do not waste your money with a reboot, because we will not be there for it.
There is enough proof of things that have been rebooted that have not done well.
Exactly. Not to mention the wonderful built-in benefit that we just said. People, if you already have an audience, they're going to go back and watch your older stuff. Now it builds and it pays off. And, you know, I think the mistake would be if somebody comes and goes, well, I want to do it my own way. And thinking people care only about the Stargate and the mythology. Well, we care about the characters.
Yeah. The mythology is part of it, but it's the characters that we have been invested in all this time.
And by the way, they're the ones that built the mythology. Other than going through a Stargate and ending up on the other side, there really wasn't anything else to it.
Yeah.
So that's not enough to make people go, oh, we'll forget about the things we love.
Yeah.
And
we're going to forget about essentially 17 years of mythology and history.
Exactly. And that's why Quantum Leap is a shining example of how to do this right.
Yep.
It's its own thing. but it's connected. That way it's not bogged down with stuff. And by the way, between you and me, the little tweaks that they've done, which they have explained because it's a new project.
Well, it's a new project. They're using slightly different technology. Like, I like how they actually addressed the whole waiting room thing.
Yes.
And like somebody was griping about it. It's like, you weren't paying attention. They addressed it.
That's right.
You know, because of the algorithm or whatever, it's not needed.
It's a new program altogether. And that's wonderful because you go, yeah, all right, I accept it. I accept that that's the rules now.
Yeah.
And they didn't toss it away nonchalantly. They still address the old way. And because it's a new computer program, all right, it works differently. Great. Yeah. They have done everything so perfectly. And you know, okay, people would say, well, a little rocky in the beginning. You have to remember, the original pilot was supposed to be the earthquake episode, which was like episode 5 or 6.
Yes.
And they ended up chopping that and only using sections of that to, you know, they had to bring everybody back to refilm the earthquake episode.
Yeah.
Holy crap. I mean, that's nuts.
Yeah. And I think that ended up actually being more beneficial.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, like, I thoroughly have enjoyed the series. Like I'd mentioned to you prior to us recording, got to chat with a couple people about it this past weekend at the convention, and I told them, it's not a reboot. It's I'd say closer to a revival or a continuation, because it's essentially season 6 of Quantum Leap, just, you know, released 20 plus years after the fact.
Exactly.
And
they're still trying to bring Sam home.
Yeah. And something that kind of irks me is these people that, oh, well, here's what they did wrong. Okay, did they do it wrong, or were you just not paying attention and missed, you know, the information that would have explained what you thought was wrong, you know? And I've seen the thumbnails of different YouTubers claiming that, you know, Scott Bakula's not happy about this, or he's not involved, or all this other stuff. It's like, guys, first of all, I'm not going to click on your blatantly clickbait BS.
Right.
Second of all, if the man is under an NDA, he's been experienced enough in the business that he's not going to comment on it. He's going to, I mean, look at Patrick Stewart. Well, I'm not in the movie. I'm not in the movie. Patrick, we saw your shoulder and heard your voice in the trailer. We know you're in the movie. I'm not in the movie. It's like, they're not going to, you know, yeah, he may not be in the series long term. He's going to show up. It's just a matter of when, not if.
Exactly. And
one of the original executive producers of Quantum Leap, I think, is involved. So it's like, well, gee.
It's Belisario. It's him and his wife.
Yeah.
That's them. This is the same people, thank God.
Exactly.
Plus,
so it's like, there is no doubt in my mind we're going to see Sam Beckett.
Right. So, me neither. And I love that. I have to be patient.
Yeah.
That's all. And they're not wasting it with he's there in the beginning and you never see him again.
Yeah.
Like, let's build up to it.
The Librarians TV show that was on TNT. They brought in Noah Wiley, and the original thoughts were, oh, he's going to be involved for like an episode or two, and that's it. No, he was in damn near half each season as that mentor leadership type role. And, you know, he had even said to me at a convention, because I lucked out and saw him, he said, I may not necessarily be in the entirety of each season, but I'm going to be there. And he goes, I'm even going to get the chance to direct. It's like, that's fantastic. That is wonderful.
I had
so I'm excited for whatever we get with Quantum Leap. At this point, they are golden in my eyes.
Right. I love all the characters. I love how they're doing it. I was at a dinner party. We have what they call feasts. So every couple months, 4 couples, you know, our friends Bob and Renee, and 2 or 3 other couples get together. You know, hey, here's the theme. You get dessert. You get the main. Blah 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 blah. but it's basically a reason just to hang out and eat something and shoot the bull. And after COVID, boy, you really, really miss all that. We were there, and of course, people start talking about the shows that they're loving.
Mhm.
Well, I get going on Quantum Leap, and
more
our
original.
friends Bob and Renee were like, "Nah, I don't." I went, "Wait, why?" And they do that offhanded because of the history of idiots with taking a successful television show, i.e., not MacGyver, ruining something by trying to reboot it. They were under the assumption, because they didn't pay attention to the freaking commercials that were always played.
And that's another thing too. People false assumptions. Yeah.
They assume it's a reboot, so I'm not interested. They're trying to redo a Sam Al thing. No, they're not. You can never redo a Sam Al dynamic.
Nope.
It's best to do your own thing.
Yeah. And I feel like they definitely have.
Of course they have. And the whole romance angle is the smartest way to do that, because you could feel that yearning of you're there, but I can't.
Exactly. And having it that way is probably one of the other few things that they could do, because if it was, two friends again, because let's face it, that's what Sam and Al are. They were best friends.
Right.
It would feel like a carbon copy. And that's, down the line, we may get that with like maybe another Leaper or whatever, because that's the thing, depending on how they go, they could have the show evolve. Okay, this character's story's done, this character's arc is done, now we're going to pass the torch to this character. But time will tell.
But basically I had to go, no, don't shoot yourself. You're denying yourself an excellent television show based on your assumptions.
Yep.
And so we start talking about it, and I have to convince 4 other couples that this is what it is. Well, what if I never saw Quantum Leap? Doesn't matter. You're going to want to.
They give you enough information that you can follow along with the story, and then at your leisure you can go in and fill in the blank.
Yeah.
But I like how, I think it was in the 4th episode, maybe 5th episode, where Magic talks about his experience with the Quantum Leap project.
That was beautiful.
After he had gotten access to the documents and everything, he's like, I had blacked out for a day, and this is apparently things that I did.
Yeah, 2 days later I wake up.
Yeah.
And apparently I had saved my whole
squad.
Yeah. That had to be addressed. And the fact that they tie it in, it makes sense that him and Al together started up the project again.
Yep.
But anyway, so then I just spoke to our friends 2 days ago, and you never mentioned if you watched it, because I love them, but they still haven't watched Stargate SG-1. Now, we started watching Supernatural as a trade-off. You love Supernatural, we'll watch 5 episodes. Well, we ended up just watching more, because why not? You just have to watch 5 episodes, and I'll tell you which 5, and if you like it, great. They didn't even bother to do that. They're like, well, we watched 2. I watched the pilot. I'm like, no, you're not giving it enough of a chance. Well, we just haven't had the chance. Get in there. You're again, these people who have assumptions before you go in. If you value my opinion as your friend, I would not steer you wrong. I would not. There's no self-serving agenda on my end. I just want you to be happy and enjoy what I enjoy. And I think I'm a pretty good judge of character with television shows. I can steer you through potential crap. Well, it's such a slap in the face when people don't bother to take your word for it.
You listened to their suggestion, and they have not been kind enough to follow.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what else are you doing? So anyway, I said, did you watch Quantum Leap? Yes. Yeah, I believe are we all caught up? Yeah, we're all caught up.
Okay, so
and I'm like, yeah, and like, it's good. It's, it's different. I'm like, okay, you've only watched 8 episodes, and I started to tell them about how the pilot had to be reshot in like a week. So it's going to be a little shaky. It's a little info dumpy, but that's okay. And as it goes on, it gets better and more complex, and the payoff is there, and it's a great tease. And that was the day when we found out about season 2. So like, okay, all right, good. Yeah, we'll keep watching. I'm like, yeah, because guess what? We're gonna have another feast next month, and I'm gonna need a full scale report. I want to hear. We got, and okay, if something isn't somebody's cup of tea, that'd be fine. But what is your logic and reasoning? What is your, as we're talking about Quantum Leap, I'm always on, trying to be an active member on Twitter and Facebook. Basically, besides enjoying like-minded people, like Fate's Wild Wheel is a great podcast that I'm
I've heard you
happy to
recommend.
connect with. Yeah, and there's the Quantum Leap podcast. We'll go on there and I'll share my thoughts because hopefully they're intelligent and enjoyable, but also I figure the more that we talk about Quantum Leap, the more the chances were that it was going to get renewed.
Yeah, and
right?
that's like a lot. I don't think a lot of people realize, and I think this is something that to kind of touch back on with Stargate. Talking about it helps keep it relevant in people's mind, and like, oh, what are these folks talking about? Oh, maybe I should go check it out. And that I think works with Quantum Leap because, like, I know I've recommended, like, heck, I think I said something to my mom after like the second or third episode, and I'm like, you really got to go check this out. And she goes, well, is it a reboot or what is it? And I said, it's basically the show being picked back up after 20 plus years. So I got to talk with her and see if she's actually gone back and watched it. Probably, because she's always looking for stuff to watch. But I think with like Stargate, there for a while, people weren't actively heavily talking about it as they were when Amazon decided, hey, we're picking up MGM, and one of the things is Stargate, So hopefully the more and more buzz of continuation, revival will grease the squeaky wheels so that they realize the fan base that is baked in wants it to continue in some fashion. Hopefully
the right fashion. Otherwise, like I said, don't bother.
Hopefully they'll bring in Brad Wright and his crew. Not necessarily if they don't want to bring them in as the showrunners, bring them on as creative assistants, bring them in because they've got, I don't want to say the keys to the kingdom, but they've got the keys that have proven to work.
Right, exactly. Their daily decisions
or
kept everything. It made it a perfect show.
Yeah. Because it's like the original MacGyver holds up very well.
Oh yeah, it's timeless. It really is timeless.
So.
One of the great side effects, though, through this was I have made a connection with their handle is Warlock Weirdo TV.
Yes, I've seen you posting some of their stuff.
So what I did was their work has been amazing. Because they're into Quantum Leap. So they're doing they did a great one where it was Sam leaping into Tony Stark as he's clicking his fingers at the end of Endgame.
Oh, interesting.
It's amazing because they did it like a shatter screen where the one reflection is Sam, the other is Tony. And then they'll do like a 10-second sound clip, but then they always have him leap out. The work sparks your creativity because you're like, oh, could you imagine? Oh, that's so cool. And and that would have been great before the revival of Quantum Leap, but now he's doing more. And like here's what Sam could look like if he leaps back. Welcome back, Sam. And it's him in the white jumper, the white onesie. But looking modern day.
Yeah.
Well, I loved it and just always I appreciate things that aren't just slapped together.
Yeah.
And they'll a lot of times say, oh, this is just test footage because, it could be an AI thing and, it's just test this. Well, Okay, I got that. You don't want to commit and say, no, this was my best effort. This is, yeah, I'm trying some stuff out. I was inspired, blah, 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 blah. So I had posted, since my birthday is 2 days from now on Saturday, I said, what I've been doing every year is, listen, the MacGyver SG1 audio series people that are following and are artistic, I'm always looking to share their art.
Right.
And there's some great artists. Marley Ward is one who did that great one for me last year. The 2 headshots of Jack and MacGyver. And just she has her own. She draws and writes little scenes in between the episodes, and they're typically the romantic Sam and Jack things.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. It's fun. It's like cartoony, great stuff. But the line work is very clean. The colors that she uses. So these people, I love their work, but I also want to show it off, and especially if they're going to do MacGyver and Jack together.
Right. Why not?
So I said, for my birthday, if you really, I'm encouraging people to send me their stuff, not for my benefit, but because I get to promote you.
Yeah. It's a good way of showing people that are fans of what you do, helping get them fans of what they do.
Exactly. And I have enough outlets with Facebook and Twitter and the group pages, blah, 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 blah. I will show it everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't think I've liked every single one because my feed is a plethora of all kinds of craziness and insanity.
Yeah.
But when I do see one of them pop up, I make sure to engage with it because I want to, I want to continue seeing, their artwork and stuff.
Exactly.
Plus, it helps self-fulfill what you and I do,
Right.
So,
right. And
yeah.
So I did it again this year, last week. I'll probably remind people one more shot before Saturday comes and goes. But I'm always asking people, give me your artwork. Let me help you. Help me to help you.
Yeah.
And the what I got was this Warlock Weirdo TV start doing, here's some concepts. Now, the first couple, they're great, but they didn't look like Richard Dean Anderson. And he said, it's test footage. It's just test. I'm plugging stuff in. I'm seeing what'll happen. But there are a couple, but I'll gladly post them anyway. Like, here's some concept, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, proof of concept.
And I said, there are a couple that were pretty dead on. Like, there's the couple where it looks like it's drawn. I don't know if they drew it or what, but it's them. He said it was a version of the artwork that I did of the 2 of them coming through the gate, coming down the steps together.
I think that's one of the ones that I had engaged with.
Isn't that amazing? I love it so much.
Because my first thought was, okay, cool. It's, Mac and Jack. And I'm like, wait a minute, that looks like the Atlantis gate room. I'm like, all right, cool. I dig it.
Whatever. Because what I said was, number one, I'm eternally grateful.
Yeah.
For any effort, any sort of spark of creativity that you're throwing my way, love it. Absolutely. Well, they are cranking some out. Well, now I got them to. They remembered watching MacGyver, but they hadn't really seen Stargate. Well, now I got them to watch Stargate because
that's fantastic.
Well, they reached out to me and said, okay, listen, I want to get this right. What is their typical look? So I email back through Twitter. When they're on the base, they wear green and blue outfits like this. When they go off world, it's green unless they go to a desert planet. So, and I warned them. I said, you're sending me down a rabbit hole. Buckle up. And then I'm like, here's a bunch of videos of Jack. So you get the idea. And when they're on,
because he doesn't carry himself like he did when he was MacGyver.
Well,
he carried himself somewhat similar, but like the way he carried himself, walking and everything, there was a difference, and I like that.
Well, I also said when they're on a mission on Earth, he can wear whatever, but this is typically he wears the mid-length coats. He's got this, that, blah, blah, blah. So then I do the same with MacGyver.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then I send videos of MacGyver, and they love it. Well, you know, I gave them everything, so now it's sparked enough that they're watching it, and they chime in with me and say, "Here's the episode I'm on. You know, I love this line," and that tickles me to death because it's that enjoyment. You're watching an excellent show.
It's that introducing someone to something you love, and they love it just as much.
Love it. And whatever they send me inspires me for my writing. Like I'm editing as we speak today, putting in the sound effects to episode 16 of the audio series.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So while I'm off, I will get this darn chapter finished. And I'll put it out. But in the meantime, I'm like, what do you think about this idea? When you catch up, after you've watched enough episodes and you're able to go back to the audio series and you have a basic idea of, you know, what both characters are about, you're able to sink into it. What about if you could give me a picture that I could use? Because the way I've been doing it lately is I'm drawing an episode picture. So for every episode, I draw a new picture. Well, that takes time.
Yeah.
And I don't mind doing it, but golly gee, if they could whip up something quicker and they're inspired by what they heard, I said, what do you feel about that? Like there's 15 episodes so far that you could, as you listen to them, make something, and I'll gladly promote it. I'll tie it to the episode, blah, blah, blah. But going forward, before I release it, I'll send it to you. You hear it. You can crank out some artwork.
That way, when the episode drops, we can be like, here's the artwork.
Yeah. So I said, once you're happy with your understanding of these characters and what they would wear and how they might react to each other, you know, go for it. There's no bad. Even the ones that didn't necessarily look exactly like Richard Dean Anderson, the idea was still made me happy that anybody spent any time.
Yeah, and you could see, okay, that's supposed to be Richard Dean Anderson, but it's not quite there.
Right.
You'll see, okay, that's supposed to be RDA. Yeah.
But then, like I said, those drawn ones, you go, oh, the hair is perfect. That looks like season 7 of MacGyver, and that's exactly what in my head. That's what he looks like. Jack is very straightforward, short gray hair, good. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm happy to promote that. So we'll see what happens with anybody else between now and Saturday. Hopefully,
that's awesome.
I just building a community. What did you say you're going to create, by the way? Tell people.
I'm going to be looking to set up a Discord server for pretty much the entire network, and then in that it'll have subcategories for like if people are specifically fans of the Never Gets Old podcast, which is what we're currently recording, they can hang out in that like subfolder. But if they're fans of like the MacGyver SG1 series, they can hang out there. I can do one up for MacGyver podcast specifically, and anybody else that joins in on the network. You know, we could bring those creative teams if they're up for it. Like, hey, do you want this? You know, do you want a subfolder set up for your community to kind of hang out and, you know, be a part of something bigger? You know,
and that'll be all tied to the Forever Adventure Network hub.
Yep. Yeah. What I'll do is I'll work on building the server first. And then I will post the link. Well, I'll kick you the link so that you can check it out and give it a good once over. If anything needs tweaked, modified, or what have you, we can do that. And then from there, go and put it on the MacGyver or put it on the Forever Adventure Network website, post it, plaster it across Facebook, Twitter, Maelstrom, whatever, you know, all the different socials.
Cool. So. All right. Oh, by the way, remember we signed up for what was it?
Hive, I think.
Hive. Yeah. And Hive was supposed to take the place of Twitter. Hive went away for now.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Hive crashed. Essentially, it was so successful replacing Twitter that they didn't have the firewalls set up enough or well enough, and people,
it's
I
on
guess,
highway.
people were breaking into it. So they just said, we're going to shut this down. We'll be back as soon as we get people who know what the heck they're doing running this.
Well, I imagine there's a bunch of people that used to work for Twitter that are looking for jobs.
Exactly. And I bet you that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about other wonderful shows and stuff. Andor.
I have been blown away with Andor. It's a series that I wasn't like, I knew I'd enjoy it, but I didn't know exactly how much I would enjoy it. Because you and I are very much of the same mindset. More of something is better than a desert.
Yeah.
You know, we are at an embarrassment of riches when it comes to things like Star Wars, Star Trek, unfortunately not Stargate, but powers that be. Hopefully that'll change in time.
Right.
You know, we've got a plethora of Marvel, DC. We'll get into that can of worms, but you know, we have an embarrassment of riches when it comes to geeky centric media,
pop culture,
pop culture and everything, and I love it. But yeah, with Andor, like I was telling somebody this past weekend, because she watched the first 3 episodes and she's just like, I found it hard to get into. And I said, or no, she watched the first 4 episodes and she's like, I just found it hard to get into. Can you sell me on it? I said, okay, here's the best way to look at the Andor series. It is 4 small stories interconnect, or 4 stories told back to back to back, and each one builds upon itself. So the first 3 episodes tell a story. It's got the first act, the middle act, and the last act, or the final act. And then that sets you up for the second story. Boom, boom, boom. And as they get more and more, they're introducing you to more layers of what's going on at the infancy of the rebellion. And she's like, okay, so if I go back and rewatch, or should I go back and rewatch it from the beginning? No, because if the first 3 episodes were too slow for you, I wouldn't want you to force yourself through that. I said, when you watch it, do you watch it, or are you, I said, pardon my expression, are you futzing around on your phone? And she goes, well, admittedly, I was on my phone. I said, you can't do that.
Right.
She goes, what do you mean? I said, there are so much subtle nuances in the show, you actively have to be watching the screen. And I said, specifically in episode 6, I believe, during the heist. And she's like, during a heist? I said, yes. She goes, okay. I said, because there's something going on with a character that if you're not paying attention, it's going to seem like it's out of left field and you're not able to follow it. I said, that's probably the biggest hurdle for a lot of people nowadays, is because we are so used to things being able to be watched and not actually watched. Like there are some programs like mindless TV, reality TV shows, you don't have to be actively watching the screen because they're telling you exactly what you're seeing. But with some shows like Andor, you need to see what you're seeing because they're not going to tell you what you're seeing. And she's like, okay. I said, watch the second set of 3 episodes, and if by the end of that 3rd episode, episode 6, if you can't at that point, maybe the show's not for you. And that's okay. But at least you would have given it a fair, solid shot. And she goes, okay, thank you. And she's like, that helps explain things a lot better, because she's, you know, she acknowledged that, yeah, I was goofing around on my phone.
Right.
But yeah, like from what I understand, we are only getting a 2nd season because the 2nd season is going to bleed into right before we see
Rogue One.
Andor in Rogue One.
Sure.
Okay. That sucks because I'd love to see more, but it's also at the same point, too much could end up undoing what they've done.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah, for me, it was the least thing that I was really interested in seeing. It's still Star Wars and I still trusted it, and no matter what they do, I knew I was going to like it. But I absolutely get what your friend's saying, because it is a lot of walking around and talking and not really achieving much for a bunch of episodes. But then the fourth episode when things start. Maybe it was the third. Things start ramping up.
Yeah.
And I go,
Third
okay,
episode, it
now
starts getting into what people have grown
now
accustomed.
now we're starting to
Like,
have some fun. Here we
in the
go.
series, we see how pivotal Mon Mothma was, like how truly pivotal she
I
was.
enjoyed that they did that.
Yeah. We were seeing literally what she's sacrificing for the rebellion. This Lucian character, there's more to this guy that I want to know. And I know we're not going to get all the answers, but I love that, he seems just like this kind of like mastermind, taskmaster type person, but even he's got some tricks up his sleeves.
Yeah.
We saw, Andor, he's just trying to survive, and we're literally seeing him inadvertently becoming a major player in the rebellion.
Right. Right.
And the whole thing with we're seeing what lengths the Empire is truly willing to go. I mean, when they're torturing when they tell you what they're torturing that person with, but you're not hearing what they're hearing, you're just seeing their reaction to what they're hearing.
Right.
That's a level of terrifying that I don't think people were prepared for.
Well, I watch it with Mikey.
Yeah.
All the Star Wars shows since Mandalorian, we've been hooked.
Yeah.
And for someone who doesn't necessarily consider themselves Star Wars people, it's not part of my soul the way Stargate is or Quantum Leap or anything.
Consider this a casual Star Wars fan.
A little more, because I know stuff.
Slightly more.
I know stuff, but I don't go, oh, I have to get the figure of
you're not like an ultra fanatic,
right? But I do enjoy good quality stuff, and when the mythology is done well, which is why I hate the freaking sequel so much, but I do love everything else basically. We're watching all of these shows, and we get excited, and here we go because we know it's going to be top quality. We watch Andor, and I'm like, okay, it's kind of sitting in a room talking a lot, but I said to him, I appreciate that we're also getting the perspective of the Empire.
Yeah.
Like we get a lot of, instead of these guys just marching in and causing trouble, you are getting the upper echelon of people sitting in a room saying,
you're seeing the conniving.
There's an uprising over here. How are we going to handle that? You go, okay. And by doing that, I think they've learned since Rogue One, you're making them more of a threat instead of the clown soldiers that trip over each other. You're like, oh, no. If you see a guy in a white outfit in a helmet, get the heck out of there. Like, and I appreciate that. When it was all said and done, I went, okay, that was good. It wasn't my favorite. And Mikey goes, oh, it was one of my favorites. That and The Mandalorian are my two favorites. I'm like, I was very proud of him because I thought, okay, if anything, I was afraid because it is a lot of talky heads as opposed to any of the other shows where it's shooting and lasers and blah, 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 blah. I thought it would drag too much for him because I knew I could be patient. I can go, these episodes aren't the best.
It's good to see that he's learning to enjoy shows like that.
Oh, yeah.
He's good to have that change because, I mean, you can watch only so many of bang, pow, wow, shows. Sometimes you need that palate cleanse of, okay, this is a show that's I can sit back and just let develop naturally and everything.
Which now brings me to the Marvel situation. We have spoiled rotten people who are like, this phase of Marvel sucks. It's not end game level. You don't want it to be end game level, people.
Like, well, and somebody either on TikTok or TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook had said, now that phase 4 is done with the conclusion of, realistically, the holiday special for Guardians of the Galaxy was the final project of phase 4.
Okay.
Phase 4 has been about grief, moving forward, processing it, moving forward, and
legacy.
with like different characters, because you've got Sam Wilson becoming the new Captain America. You've got the Black Panther mantle being,
which I didn't see yet, by the way. Did not see the
sadly
movie.
that one had to be moved on, I think, a lot faster than anybody anticipated, because sadly Chadwick passed away. But like, it's about things moving forward. And like somebody had said, Phase 4 feels kind of like an odd amalgamation of trying to be a mix of Phase 1 and 2.
Sure. Yeah.
Phase 3 was the payoff of everything. And they think Phase 5 is going to be a mixture of Phase 2 and 3.
Sure. Agreed.
Because we've got some trilogies that are going to be coming to an end in Phase 5. Guardians of the Galaxy and Ant-Man, for sure.
Yeah.
In the third one, something rough happens to every main hero.
Right. As you know, as it should, and it feels natural that they're doing it. Like, I loved this phase because
this phase was really solid.
I'll tell you, Endgame is so powerful, but
you need some time before you can.
I need some time because if these idiots who are like, oh, it needs to be as exciting as Infinity War and Endgame. No, it doesn't, because then you water down what it meant to have Infinity War and Endgame.
And you end up burning yourself out on those major pivotal stories that you'll end up not appreciating them.
But I loved so we've had WandaVision, Cap and Bucky.
I have it saved on my phone because I'm that level of a nerd. So but yeah, it's like the whole thing has been phenomenal.
Yeah, I love that we get those moments. The Hawkeye, we're going to start rewatching Hawkeye because it's a Christmassy season.
And that totally works. Phase 4 has been Black Widow, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, Eternals, Spider-Man No Way Home, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Thor Love and Thunder, Black Panther Wakanda Forever. TV shows have been WandaVision, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, What If, Hawkeye, Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, the I Am Groot animated,
which I didn't even see yet.
Yeah. She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, and then the special presentations of Werewolf by Midnight and Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special.
All right, let's start with those two. How did you like both of them, the Werewolf by Night?
The Werewolf by Midnight, I was intrigued by it because it was being presented in black and white, and that kind of like scratched that. I'm a fan of the older Universal monster movies because they were able to do so much, convey so much with such, by today's standards, basic technology.
Werewolf by Night. It's not Midnight.
Yeah, Werewolf by Night. Yeah.
I just looked it up because I'm like, wait a minute, have I been saying it wrong this whole time?
I have noted wrong in my cheat sheet, so I'll have to fix that. But it was presented in a way that it could theoretically have taken place at any time in like the timeline.
Sure.
But then as it progresses, you realize, oh, okay, this could be more recent,
right?
Because of the graveyard. And I really enjoyed it because it's just one of those things. It had a bunch of characters in it I knew next to nothing about, and just the style of it, the story was consistent throughout. It had the right peaks and the right valleys in regards to tone and excitement and everything. And plus, Jess looked at it and she's like, "Oh, another dark-haired woman. I think I might have to do the costume."
Huh. We were happy.
Good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, we were happy with it because it was just you know what? These are characters that, unfortunately, a lot of these characters, Eternals, we can use as an example, failed as a comic book, but they're still owned by it. So if you could do like, a werewolf story, okay, well, you have one of those in Marvel. It's Halloween's coming up. Yeah. There it is. You got to use it. You don't have to ever touch it again.
And if the interest is there for them to do another quick special next year, they could easily do it.
But by all means.
And it shows that they don't have to commit to a TV series of like 10 episodes or even to a full-length feature film.
Exactly.
It's a direct pipeline to the fan.
And yes. And so I thought, all right, that was for characters I didn't care about. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was looking forward to seeing Man-Thing. I'm like, oh, Man-Thing's going to show up, and they made him exciting. Like it was
Yeah.
funny.
It
I'm
was
like,
very
okay,
interesting
good
to see
job.
him show up. Yeah.
That was nice.
And I love the little, just the peppered in comedy.
Yes, yeah, it
It's-
wasn't over the top. It
wasn't over
was,
and it's one of those things that, you know, you could see having happened to somebody. Like they go to, and it's, you know,
yeah.
very relatable kind of comedic moment.
And then we saw the Christmas holiday special for Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, that was a fun, you know, and I love that we got to see more of Mantis and Drax.
I'll tell you, I was surprised at how touched I was. I figured it was going to be lighthearted, Christmassy, okay, but I didn't think it was going to move me.
Yeah, I was, you know, I will admit I got kind of choked up because, again, these are two characters that unfortunately kind of feel like they get sidelined a lot. Specifically Drax, because he's just, you know,
a one note kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, the one note guy. But like with Mantis, we got to see, you know, some good character moments with her.
Yeah.
And I love that Kevin Bacon was in it. And I like that he was kind of playing a bit of a parody of himself, really, you know. But it was a fun, good holiday, kind of like lift you up a little bit.
It felt like the spirit of Christmas was part of it, as opposed to just slapping some decorations on a wall and going, "Look, Christmas."
Yeah.
Like, no, you got me. You know.
And I loved seeing the, you know, because we didn't get really any touching on this with Endgame. Peter Quill hadn't been to Earth since he was kidnapped, and then, you know, he's on Earth during that climactic battle,
right?
And, you know, we don't get that him processing, oh wow, I'm home, you know. Well, now theoretically he can go home whenever. I don't know what we're going to get in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but I'm hoping we'll get some kind of like something, because I mean,
sure, there
he
has to
no
be.
tie to Earth really anymore, because what family he had, I'm sure, is gone.
Right.
But it's just it was cute to see people that he considers family do something that family would try to do. Now, granted, they did it in a slapstickish kind of way, but
the heart was still there.
Yeah,
it was,
the
let's
heart,
get him
you know,
something that he wants and make him happy.
Yeah, absolutely. So it'll be interesting to see how that bleeds into the next movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And of course, She-Hulk with Daredevil.
Yep.
We didn't just get a little bit of Daredevil, by the way.
Yeah.
Daredevil was wonderful in it.
Absolutely. We got to see Daredevil have that bit of humor.
He's happy.
That was solid. I absolutely loved it. And I love that people got introduced to a character that was known to break the fourth wall before Deadpool.
And not in an obnoxious way, the way Deadpool does it. Like, aren't I clever? It was no, we're friends. Let me let you in on what I'm thinking right now, kind of.
And I love how they had the opportunity to do a very narcissistic, self-flatulating moment by having Kevin in the finale, and Kevin was an AI robot.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, because everybody's thinking, oh, we're gonna actually get to see him be in it.
Yeah, and I'm just like, you know what? I greatly appreciate that, because that kind of shows that he doesn't necessarily take himself even fully serious.
For me, it was all about Daredevil. I was enjoying the She-Hulk stuff, but you know me. I want my Daredevil, and they made him, because we still talk about this, the family. We still are reviewing it over, even though it's been months now. We're like, what about the scene where, and you could see the dynamic of Matt being someone, I love that they didn't have them be antagonistic to each other or be a one night stand and in the end we just broke it off. No, they like each other, and she is comfortable with him because that's who Matt is.
Yeah.
Matt's there, even in the end when he's with the family and he puts his arm out and puts his arm on her dad as a, you know, I like little nuances like that. I'm like, you're a comfort to be around, and that's who I see you being.
Yeah, and I loved like I said, I love the fact that they gave him a chance to be, yeah, the character has every ability to be a very serious and dark character, but they gave him that light of humor.
He needs it. You can't, otherwise it's, oh, he's the moody guy all the time. Like when that happened, people were like, they made him happy. Like,
like with the whole thing when he walks into the courtroom, that I was in stitches. Like we had to pause it because I was howling, just because like, yeah, as somebody who's visually impaired, I could see myself even making a smart ass remark like that, But it's just it was nice to see, because I honestly I was concerned, like if they were going to make him antagonistic and just not quite even right.
Well, the way that they would do it normally, and this is what I was afraid of. Typically, when they have a crossover with somebody, they go, "Yeah, we're getting along now, but in the end, we're gonna fight and we're gonna hate each other." And I thought I never liked it when it originally happened. I haven't liked it the thousand of times since other shows have done that, and I don't want them to do that because that's not who Matt is, and from what I can tell, that's not who Jennifer is, and the fact like. He's flipping around her. She can't touch him. Like he's not trying to hurt her. When he's like, no, listen to me. Just listen to me. And then when she knows that it's him, she instantly, and it's very subtle, she goes, Matt, and she reverts back to Jennifer's size because she knows she has nothing to fear from the guy that she likes because he's that kind of nurturer. And he's like, hi, and of course the whole, I'm Daredevil.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Do you not know? I got
yeah, it was fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm here for whatever more we get, because I know we're getting him in Daredevil Reborn,
but Echo too,
and Echo, and I don't like. I've heard rumblings that we're going to get more of She-Hulk, so it'll be interesting to see where those things progress to.
Yeah. So. The other thing I'm surprised at how much I like is the yellow and red Daredevil outfit.
Yeah.
I like how they teased it. I like how it was designed for him, which explains why he was on the other side of the country.
Other side of the country, yeah. It was really interesting to see that it looks like, I haven't analyzed it as some people have, but looking at it, it looks like it's a very similar.
It is. It's the exact. It is. Yeah.
Just yellow and red.
That's how they tie it in with the original series. I'm like, that's smart. Okay, because now you've bridged the gap.
Yep.
And they designed it the same way, only gave it different colors. Still waiting for my double D on the chest, but that'll happen, I'm sure, in his own series.
Yeah, probably in the Reborn, they'll place it on there. Yeah.
You have to, because that's the
or somebody will remark, hey, you probably want to do this.
But at this point, it's blatantly missing, and we're like, okay, you better have it in his own show. Swear to God. But yeah, I was waiting for them to make the comment. Mikey and I were joking, where She-Hulk says, something about, if you're Daredevil, why are you yellow and red? And and him go, I'm what now? And then I have to go back and talk to the designer guy and go, what did you do to me? Like that's because that type of joke.
Yeah.
How did you like Love and Thunder? Did we talk about Love and Thunder before?
I think we touched on it. I think.
Well, let's go ahead.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, I know, with the Mighty Thor comic book, they had like 20 issues or something like that, and they had to do a truncated version of it for the movie. So I'm kind of glad that they hit like the strokes, as it were, with the Jane Foster picking up the hammer and everything. I enjoyed it. At this point, I kind of feel like Thor kind of needs to
take a break.
Take a break for a while, which I know the actor, he has said in interviews he's going to be taking a step back because of things with health and family and things like that. Apparently he kind of touches on the reasoning behind that decision in a limited series called Limitless or something like that.
Right. Well, the way that
talking about like health related things, because
the
I
way
mean,
that
I
they
know he's one that has like yo-yoed with like being physically ripped and everything, and then a more balanced
realistic.
human being looking, build. So it might have something to do with that too, because I know that's part of the reason why Hugh Jackman has been leaning more and more towards kind of retiring from being Wolverine. Although we've found that
Not anymore.
he's gonna claw up one last time, as it were.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the way that they leave Thor is in a good place where he doesn't have to be around.
yeah,
I mean, he's still alive. He's
Yep,
still
so
out there. He's still
yeah, so-
heroing. That
Yep.
way, if during a big event, if they want to, hey, guess what? Come back and smack people in the head. He can,
Yep.
but does he need his own movie anymore? I don't, unless it were great. I don't think they need to. The fact that we got a fourth
yeah,
Thor movie, we are blessed.
yeah, absolutely. And I found out two interesting bits of information. The trailer where you see young Thor running through the woods, and as he passes so many trees or whatever, he like jumps up in size. When he was running around as a kid, that was his son.
Oh, was it Chris Hemsworth's son?
Chris Hemsworth.
Oh, okay.
That was his son. And interesting enough, Love was actually being played by his daughter.
Oh, really?
From what I've been told. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, at that same dinner party, those same friends chimed in and went, "Oh, by the way, we hated Love and Thunder. Hated it." And I'm thinking, okay, well, you're the same people who hated Spider-Man Part 2, which was the best of the trilogy of that. So your judgment is a little, first of all, you're not comic book readers. You don't know the history. Second of all, what do you want? Oh, he was funny in it. Yeah, he should be. His humor should grow. And it wasn't slapstick humor.
Yeah.
It was just, let's lighten up. Let's have a lighthearted, by the way, it wasn't all lighthearted. You know what happened to Jane Foster in the end.
Exactly.
So, I mean, and again, if anybody's going to be critical of this stuff, it's going to be me, because I'm watching it, and I could tell where there was an effort to it. Well, again, with Marvel, you have me. You have yet to disappoint me.
Marvel has shown time and time again, the risks that they take pay off.
They would have to do something so incredibly terrible and out of character for me to have a bad word about these movies or television shows.
Yeah.
Again, blessed beyond riches with what we get. Shut your mouth and be thankful we got a fourth Thor movie. And by the way, if you don't like it,
there's a show that I forgot on my list, Miss Marvel.
Oh, no,
sorry,
you said it.
Oh, I did. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
When you were going through your list, you said
I must have rattled it off that quick. I didn't.
Yeah, it was.
It.
And that was, if to switch gears into that, that was beautiful. That was a
I mean, that was a show that was definitely not geared towards somebody like you or I, but
it didn't
we still found
us.
enjoyment in it.
There was no exclusion. It was more of a. This is what I love about where Marvel is doing it through television and movies the right way, where DC did not with their CW shows. Not rest in peace, just be gone. They are not hitting you over the head with their mission of PC-ness. What they do is they include people and let it be. We're all part of the same planet. Love to everybody. By the way, you may not be.
There for a while they did a good job at not hitting you over the head with stuff, but then for like a good stretch, it's like every episode they have to remind you. It's like, guys, if you want to normalize these things, treat these things as normal. That's how you normalize things.
Well, and that's why Marvel it started with Shang-Chi. It's with Miss Marvel. It makes me appreciate and envy their culture that I'm not part of.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, no, I want to know
more. It gives you a better appreciation for it too.
Yeah, I want to know more. It's not them and us. It's oh, you got something new to bring to the table that I wasn't aware of.
Mhm.
Or maybe I was, but boy, I really like the way it's
But now,
handled.
now you're introduced to it in a more solid manner.
Yeah, because it never says spotlight on the
Yeah.
minority. It's no, enjoy the movie or show.
Yeah.
And when it's over, you go, boy, that was really done well. They never badmouth any other cultures.
Nope.
They never say, aren't we the best? They don't. It's this just happens to be our background. Here's your story. And we loved Miss Marvel. Like it was, oh, and by the way, what about the surprise at the end there?
That was really freaking cool.
We ended up
And
rewinding
I
it.
understand that leads right into the Marvels movie.
I'm not even talking about that part. I'm talking about we're watching it and
the audio cue.
The audio cue that Mikey didn't pick up on. He goes, wait, rewind that.
Yeah.
And when they say you're a mutant, I'm like, oh.
Well, apparently they've done it. I know for sure at least twice, but apparently there have been multiple times where they've dropped that breadcrumb. And and honest to goodness, that's the best way they can to eventually bring in the mutants.
Yep.
Show that yes, the mutants have always been there. It's just they've had to live in hiding.
Yep.
That's brilliant.
I love it. I'm so happy. And they didn't have to do those little surprises, but I love that they did. Because you figure Miss Marvel's got to show up. And then that bonus scene that you said leads right into it. You're like, bravo. Bravo. Well done.
Because inadvertently, they kind of screwed the pooch with the Inhumans TV show, which would have been the other, because I think Miss Marvel is supposed to be an Inhuman, but tweaking it so that she's a mutant, that works too.
Right.
Know?
It's because it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Yeah, it's just a matter, okay, was it due to genetics or was it due to experimentation?
Remember a few years ago, Marvel, for whatever reason, was trying to intentionally get away from mutants. I guess they're with the right. So they're like, we're going to focus on Inhumans, which is our own mutant. And that's where they came up with all that.
Yeah, and I think it's because at the time, it was probably around the time they were floating the idea about buying Fox.
Right.
And it's like, okay, if we're not able to acquire Fox, i.e. the entire X-Men / mutant catalog for film and TV, do we have a backup plan? Oh, we've got the Inhumans. Okay, let's lean on that. Oh, that's not okay. Well,
wait, nobody wants this.
That aren't quite doing it right. Shoot. Okay. Keep throwing money. Keep throwing money at Fox until
well, and thank God they did get it. I mean,
because it's going to do nothing but better serve the end goal.
Also, I'm sorry, but Inhumans, the Externals or whatever the heck they're called, the Eternals. Yeah, I know.
Well, no, I think there is something called Externals, and I think it's something different.
Oh, well,
yeah.
In any case,
like the
these were failed comic books that did not work way back when. No matter how many times they tried to come back, and Marvel just did a big crossover in the comics where it was the Avengers, the X-Men, and the Eternals. Nobody cares. I'm sorry, you can't. It's over and done with.
Yeah, I think it's because at some point there becomes too much, and I think that's the thing. Having the Eternals be kind of like a background thing that gets brought up periodically, I think it works perfectly fine.
Right, but I mean, overall, the comic failed because it wasn't written well. The characters were not.
And if the source material is not solid,
it never was.
It's hard to build anything off of it.
And unfortunately,
like having the Eternals movie, I enjoyed it for what it was. It was a good way of showing a little bit more of a glimpse into the history of the Marvel universe.
Yeah. Okay. But in the end, we just kind of want to ignore it. We're
but do we ultimately need to have like a multi-picture deal for all the Eternals? No. I think with the way they ended the first one, have another one in like phase late phase 5 or early phase 6 to just kind of like, okay, wrap that up and it's good.
Ideally, you know what they should do?
What's that?
Just save them for the big battle.
Yeah.
At the end game type movie. Have them show up. Oh, there they are. Okay, you got to see them again. We never have to discuss them again.
Yeah.
Because nobody's hankering.
Or just have somebody reference it in simple dialogue to acknowledge that they're out there in the verse doing whatever it is that they do. And that's it.
And nobody's hankering for more of them. Just, ugh.
And I think part of the problem was it was an introductory film with a bloated cast. They had how many characters? Like 10 characters in the film?
Right.
That's also part of the problem, I think, too.
Agreed.
I mean, it was enjoyable for what it was, but
yeah. And again, it wasn't Marvel's fault. I can't go, Marvel, you let me down. No, you made a decent movie with characters that nobody cares about and wants to see.
Yeah.
So I do I feel like I wasted 3 hours of my life? No. Do I ever want to go back and rewatch it? God, no.
No, I'll probably like there are movies that I'll grab from the Marvel catalog and throw them on. I'll watch it when I go to do my big each night for a month I'll watch a movie. I'll rewatch it at that point because I'm just getting a refresher on the ones that I don't go back and watch all the time.
Right. Right.
Although with the additive of the TV shows, that month-long rewatch is looking like it's probably gonna be more like 2 months.
Yeah. Oh, if. And we just got the announcement yesterday officially. Poor Henry Cavill is not returning as Superman.
It's rough. Like the whole thing with the DC film verse, because of the stumbles and the whole malarkey with the Snyderverse, save the Snyderverse,
the darkness and the
at this point, they have one of two things that they could have done: keep trudging along like they were, or
clean break.
Just wipe the slate clean. I know they're gonna. It's my understanding they're gonna stick with Robert Pattinson for
the
Batman
or whatever. Sure.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean,
but I don't think he's going to be the Batman for the DCU.
No, I think what they're going to do is they're going to possibly do the main, catalog that they're going to work on, but they're going to also do like early adventures for these characters. So like Robert Pattinson is Batman at the beginning of his time, whereas whatever they end up doing in the main is more down the line.
Well, actually,
maybe I don't know.
No,
I know
the news that came out was James Gunn is writing.
Mm-hmm.
He's starting with Superman.
Yeah,
and it's Superman early. It's
right.
They're not going to do an origin story. They're not going to show the planet blow up because everybody knows that.
Yeah,
they are going to show him start at the Daily Planet.
Okay,
so it's him starting.
So very kind of along the lines of what they did with the Batman, where we didn't see the Waynes die for the 30th time in the 80th movie. It's okay through dialogue. Oh, that's Bruce Wayne. Oh yeah, his parents died. Okay, good, you handled it.
So they're doing Superman, and then they'll do Batman and Wonder Woman, and build it like Marvel was smart enough to.
Yeah,
and they have that long game plan, which I agree. Unfortunately, I love Henry Cavill. I was happy up 2 months ago, and he's like, "I'm back." They told me I'm back, and I feel terrible that he had to go.
I feel gutted. I commented on his Instagram post saying, "Man, this is really rough. Someone needs to get you involved with a Warhammer 40K series, movie, something, because I know that's something the man is passionate about."
Right.
And I think he would have a ball with that. I don't know anything about the mythology or the stories or anything like that, but it's something within his wheelhouse of knowledge.
And unfortunately,
I know with Witcher, with The Witcher, he was sticking around on that because he loved the source material. He read the books, he's played the games,
right?
And he was always going kind of toe to toe with the writers, saying, "You've got the source material. This is what you should be focused on." And the powers that be were like, we don't care for that. Well, then why are you making a Witcher series if you're not going to honor the source material?
Right.
It's like making a Batman show, but not have it be Batman. Arrow.
Right.
Sorry.
Right. So
I mean, it sucks. I know the man's gonna land on his feet. He's gonna find something to do because he's one of these actors that has done a fairly good job at balancing career and life.
Well, they said that they plan on having him in something. He just won't be Superman.
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's fine.
See how they bring him in.
But that poor guy, I mean, he was wonderful, a sweetheart of a man, but right from the beginning got the short end of the stick because he was not Superman. He may have worn the outfit, but he even said, if I'm going to be Superman, you better make me heroic and not mopey.
Yeah. And he was a victim of the dark and gritty tone.
Yes, yes.
Really
well, that's why I was nervous. I'm half excited, half nervous with James Gunn because James Gunn gave us great stuff like Guardians of the Galaxy. Unfortunately, he also gave us the over-the-top, vulgar Suicide
Peacemaker
Squad
series
and Peacemaker series. So
I think because he is going to be working with someone else, that will help balance him. Because he's not straight up the CEO. He's a co-CEO with somebody else.
Right. And
so
I hope they say, stop with the vulgar. We're trying to build a universe here.
Yeah. I think that will hopefully, knock on wood, be able to balance him.
I pray to God.
Yeah.
I pray to God because you're starting from scratch. I know
at this point, sink or swim, it's on the two of those guys.
Right. So let's get it accurate. Let's get Superman heroic and hopeful. Let's get Batman still noble. He may hide in the shadows, but he's still Batman.
And I like how with Robert Pattinson, we got glimpses of that. Like this is clearly, Batman at the beginning of his career.
Right. Yeah, I do agree. There was nowhere else to go, but you had to start from scratch.
Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic. I feel like I say a lot with stuff with DC. I'm cautiously optimistic about this film. I'm cautiously optimistic about this. But I mean, it's one of those things with them hitting the hard reset across the board. It's hopefully there's nowhere to go for them but up.
Exactly. Oh, I pray to God. Anything else I know there's always stuff that I forget that we talk about.
Well, today Jess and I finished Wednesday.
Oh, thank you. We're on my daughter and I just watched the second episode.
Okay. It's good. I like the mystery aspect of it.
Yes.
I know a couple of people had remarked about, they're trying to make her like Sabrina and all this. I'm like,
it's better. I think it's a little better than Sabrina.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like they're trying to make her Sabrina, but they're adding to the world that the Addams family exists in. I saw one person critiquing the series where it didn't quite feel like the Wednesday that they were familiar with. And somebody in their comments had said, keep in mind, up until this point, every time we saw Wednesday Addams, she was maybe 10.
Sure.
Maybe 12.
Right.
So here she's a 16-year-old girl. Your dynamic with your parents is not going to necessarily be the same at 16 as it was when you were like 8.
Right.
Your dynamic with your family does change.
Sure.
It's still at the core, they love each other and everything, but as a 16-year-old, you get embarrassed about your parents being all over themselves. Whereas an 8-year-old, that's just mom and dad,
Right.
So, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I'm hoping we're going to get a second season. I know there's talk about a second season.
I now have Cindy watching Sandman.
Oh, okay. That's a show that Jess and I haven't gotten the chance to watch yet.
Okay. I bought the book, the first volume, and the show, like, I'm not a fantasy guy. The stars aligned with the moon, so we got this outcome, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
However, it's Neil Gaiman who this is, his thing. So for all my life, you got to read Sandman. I'm glad I saw the show before I read the book.
Okay.
Because the show pays off quicker than reading the book. But the show is so well done.
I've heard really good things about it.
Basically, it becomes a Twilight Zone because it's a 3 or 4 episodes story arc, but then the rest are like one shot, one and done stories.
One shot stories. Okay.
And they're excellent. So they were so good that I miss it. Like I'm all caught up.
I think I saw Neil Gaiman posting something about there is a second season coming.
Good. Well, I've now this past week I read the first volume as I convinced Cindy to start watching it.
Okay.
And she's loving it.
Good.
But as I'm reading the books, I'm noticing they are taking direct dialogue from the books in the show.
And that's important when you're doing something based off of a long existing book series, comic book series. If you want to do it justice, pay homage to its source material, be it iconic shots that Marvel tries to replicate, storylines that they try to at least hit the keynotes on,
right?
Or with this, the dialogue.
Well, our buddy Ian from Quantum Leap, Mason Alexander Park, is in it as Desire.
Yes.
It's so funny because
Gwendolyn Christie is in it as well, I think, isn't she?
Who?
Gwendolyn Christie
from
Wednesday, and she's also Brienne of Tarth.
Yes. Yes.
Which, side note, I'm glad in Wednesday they give her a chance to actually be a beautiful version of herself. Like, she had actually said this was the first time in a role she felt beautiful, which was just, it's heartbreaking and also heartwarming at the same time, because she is a very pretty woman. And having that opportunity to, one, because she's the governess, the principal of the school, seeing her have that opportunity to show off was wonderful to see.
Right.
So, but yeah, Sandman's one of those that, now that I think I'm caught up on most of my shows, I'm going to try to sit down, because I don't know if that's something Jess is going to want to watch, but I'll at least watch it.
Well, can I remind you of something?
Sure.
Chicago PD.
Yes.
Please,
now that
for the love of God.
Now that I have access to pretty much every freaking streaming service out there, that's going to be on my list.
I'm telling you, it is must-see TV. First season is good, and it builds, and it is.
Yeah, you've said that it built upon itself.
And besides me wanting you to watch it, do you know how many times Cindy goes, has he started to watch it yet?
I was going to say Mike and Cindy, I think, because I know Cindy has, because I think when you guys were here last year, Cindy had even said, you need to watch it.
Yeah. But I mean, she's in my ear going, let me guess, he hasn't watched it yet. I said, I'll ask him. I'll remind him.
Well, today, after I hop off here, I do have orders to do. And I usually do my tabletop RPGs on Wednesdays.
Yeah, at 7.
And occasionally on Thursdays and occasionally on Wednesdays. Depending on how long the orders take, which ironically, earlier, I scoped out what my orders were, staged everything. So what I can do is, because, we have these wonderful cell phones, I had 3D printed a stand. So while I'm packaging up my orders and stuff, I'll probably be watching, as long as the app cooperates with me, I'll probably watch at least the first episode while I'm doing that.
It'll grab you.
I'll migrate over to the living room while I'm waiting for game time and watch however many episodes I can.
It's gonna grab you.
I imagine it will. Like
the first episode I'm talking about, even just the first episode.
Yeah. Because rewatch, I've been watching when I get the chance to. I'll throw on Law and Order since they brought it back last year. Well, the guy that played in Burn Notice, he's one of the lead cops. I enjoy it. The guy that played Jimmy Olsen in Supergirl, he joined the cast as his partner, and I love the dynamic between the two of them. Not that the guy in the first season was bad, but I like the dynamic between the two of them because they're both actors known for other types of roles, and now they're both playing cops. So it's kind of funny. But yeah, so I'm definitely going to be watching it. Now that I'm caught up on the stuff that was more stalled, I'll have the chance to do it.
Yeah.
CSI Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Have you watched this season yet?
Of course.
I'm enjoying it. Was this season going to be 8 episodes or 10 episodes?
No, there's more coming.
Okay, I was going to say
they
I thought
only
it was
did
supposed to
8
be
so
10.
far, and it was Burn was the last one.
Yeah, because with the way the last episode ended, I'm like, okay, this kind of feels like you're doing a wrap up to a major arc here. Are we going to get the last 2 episodes? And then sitting down and watching it, I'm like, or rethinking about it, I'm like, okay, this wraps up Catherine's main arc that she was there for.
Did it?
But she's sticking around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's never going to be the same without Grissom.
No, and
I'm still happy it's there.
Yeah, I like how they're bringing in cast members from the original show to be that bridge while they're finding their footing more solid. Like I love Maxine.
Sure.
I like that character.
We like her too.
She's a good lead. The quirky guy with the mustache.
Like him a great deal. He was a great addition.
Really fun. I like Folsom and the girl that he was interested in the first season. I like those.
Folsom's very cookie cutter. There's nothing deep about him yet.
Yeah,
but he's there.
And I think it's because they're doing the whole breadcrumb thing with him, I think, because we got a little bit of that with this season with his brother or somebody from his past.
Right.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I'm hoping next season they might try to bring in Grissom again for
I hope so. Because
and maybe bring in one of the other lab techs or something. Like have that be the thing. Every season they bring a character in from the past.
Well, we have been catching some of the Ted Danson episodes, and I really wish they had gone from Grissom to Ted Danson instead of Lawrence Fishburne, because it put such a darkness on it that by the time Ted Danson showed up, and he's great. We love Ted Danson, and his character was fun. And only in these many years later do I really appreciate him, because after Lawrence Fishburne, there was such a bad taste because they went dark with the character.
Yeah. I think had they had Lawrence Fishburne's character there in the background, but not as the focal point for as long as they had him be a focal point, it would have been a little bit easier, because it would have been moments of darkness in the lighter. I mean, granted, we're talking about a show that deals with death and murder and stuff like that. So, that cloud is always going to be there, but there was also that level of levity.
Mikey wanted me, before we run out of time, he said, remember to talk about Doctor Who. He just sent me a text.
Oh, okay. Doctor Who. Yes.
It's a shame that as much as we love the 13th Doctor, Jodie Whittaker, her seasons overall were not good. It was missing.
Yeah, she fell victim to a couple different things. One of which, a showrunner, I feel that didn't fully grasp.
Well, he was too concerned with, I want to do my own thing. I want to leave my mark, and that you can't mess with the mythology.
Yeah, like you can leave your mark, but you have to be cognizant of everything else. Like had it been Doctor Who in the infancy of the series, where it was like season 5 or whatever, okay, yeah, you could take the gambles you were taking, but you're pushing close to 60 years worth of history.
Exactly.
Like I love the Spyfall storyline. That was wonderfully done, because it was one of those, oh, okay, crap, I didn't expect that twist, But yeah, it's unfortunate. Hopefully we'll get to see her come back as the Doctor in crossover events when they do multi-Doctors.
But when it was over and they do the big last, I didn't feel anything except relief. I was like, okay, that chunk is over. Get her out of there. And it's not her fault, but I just felt like usually when a doctor changes, you go, oh, I'm sad for them to go. In this case, it was a relief.
Yeah, I mean, I was sad to see her go, because I did love her take on the Doctor. I loved the energy, but you could tell she fell victim to things that were just outside of her control.
Exactly. So now, David Tennant.
And I love that we've got to see in the trailer for what's coming next, that glimpse of Shutigawa. And he had the reaction I bet a lot of people had. Somebody needs to tell me what the hell is going on here. And I love that that's kind of like our first, because that is kind of that in its own way is kind of like a very doctor reaction of like, what the hell's going on here? What did I just walk into?
Well, Cindy called it. She said, "Wouldn't it be great? I could see the doctor changing and going, what?
Yeah.
What?" And it's exact. And to have him check his teeth and go, "Wait a minute, I recognize these teeth."
Yep.
I love it. I'm so happy.
Wonderful callback.
I love it.
Have you seen the footage of Shutigawa talking to the girl that's going to be his companion?
I'm not sure.
Seeing the chemistry between the two of them very much kind of reminds me of the chemistry between David Tennant and Billy Piper.
Sure. Okay.
And I love that we're going to see that kind of energy and stuff return to Doctor Who.
Right.
So I'm curious to see what the specials are going to bring. I'm excited to see what the 60th special is going to be.
Yes.
It's Doctor Who. It falls back to what I said earlier. More of something is better than less.
Exactly. And it can't go anywhere but up from where it's been lately.
Exactly. Yeah.
But we're running out of time, so let's bid adieu to everybody. And what do they have to look forward to? What is this thing you're adding to the hub?
It's going to be a Discord.
Discord.
Yep, a Discord, which is basically just a fancy chat room, message board thing.
Yes. And thank you for all of our supporters. Whether you're supplying us with wonderful art or sending a monetary little something,
yep,
it helps. We're reaching out to a select few other podcasts that may want to benefit from our hub.
Yep.
Because we want to be quality for everybody. So that's what you're getting. And there's a couple that I am happy to extend that out to. So hopefully we'll see that. But at the very least, very soon, we're going to have a Discord thing, which
will be helpful for people getting in touch with us, and just a nice place that, because I know with like Facebook, your notification feed on there can just get slogged down with so much.
Sure.
And with Discord, you can have it set up where, I don't necessarily want to be or updated on these sub-channel conversations, but I want to be focused on these 3 or 4.
Exactly.
And it makes it a little bit more easier for people to digest and communicate.
So that's our little Christmas gift to all of you.
Hopefully it'll be out by Christmas.
Exactly. We will be back after Christmas, and we will catch up on all the pop culture news and fun conversations. And in the meantime, remember,
stay excited.
Boom. The Never Gets Old podcast is part of the Forever Adventure Network and made possible by your donations through Patreon. If you'd like to help us out, please go to the Forever Adventure Network by Mac Jackson on Patreon and help by subscribing, rating, and reviewing wherever podcasts are heard. We also have a Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube channel. The show's music is by Harmony Constant and available wherever music is sold. Thanks for listening, everybody. And remember, stay excited. The Forever Adventure Network. Welcome to the adventure. Has MacGyver inspired you to be kind and creative? Has Jack O'Neill inspired you to be a leader and be sarcastic? Well, then please check out the MacGyver podcast, where we celebrate Richard Dean Anderson and all of his iconic characters. We have life stories, episode reviews, and great conversations with actors and the people behind the scenes. We also have merchandise, blogs, art, and so much more, all through the Forever Adventure Network. Join us today, and remember, stay creative, everyone. The Forever Adventure Network. Welcome to the adventure.